The fact that Poland is overall very flat has always influenced its economy, making it largely agriculturally based. Poland has always been in between Western and Eastern Europe, therefore it has struggled between their ideologies. Nowadays, it's moving away from communism to a more liberal economy. Now, let's talk about minerals. Poland is very rich in coal, lignite, copper, zinc, sulfur, gypsum, and rock salt or halite. They're all economically important minerals. However, Poland is also a very important producer of gem-grade and collector minerals, such as quartz varieties, garnets, and celestine.
Some bodies of water located in Poland are Lake Morki's Oko, Malta Lake, the Black Pond, Odra River, and Lake Solina.
Poland is known as the most polluting country in Europe. It still relies on a coal power production. It's around 3 times the EU average on carbon emissions. Coal is 80% of the whole country production and almost 90% of its electricity generation. Their carbon emissions come mainly from electricity and heating, followed by transportation and then agriculture.
Poland's climate can be described as a temperate climate, with relatively cold winters and warm summers, which is greatly influenced by oceanic air currents from the west, cold polar air from Scandinavia and Russia, as well as warm subtropical air from the south.
The overall score of the economic freedom profile of Poland is 68.3%, its property rights 52, government integrity 60, physical health 71, business freedom 67, judicial effectiveness 68, tax burden 76, government spending 46, labor freedom 61, monetary freedom 84, trade freedom 87, investment freedom 75, and financial freedom 70%.
The latitude of Warsaw, Poland is 52.237049, and the longitude is 21.017532.
The neighboring countries of Poland are the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Germany, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and the Baltic Sea.
Poland's main sources of economic activity are machine building, iron and steel, coal mining, chemicals, shipbuilding, food processing, glass, beverages, and textiles. Poland's labor force by occupation, 11.5% of the population dedicates to agriculture, 30.4% of the population dedicates to the industry, and 57.6% dedicates to services.
Poland is a democratic country and it's divided in 3 branches: executive, legislative, judiciary. In the executive branch is where the head of state and the head of government are. Legislative, here lies principally the bicameral National Assembly that is composed by the lower house and the upper house. And judiciary branch is where the Supreme Court of Poland, the common courts, administrative courts, and military courts are, but these are not as important.
In 2016, Poland's population was 38 million. Poland's average altitude is 173 meters. 75.4% of the land is less than 200 meters above sea level. The highest point is Mount Rising, with 2,499 meters, that is located on the border of Slovakia. The Carpathians are a mountain range system forming an arch roughly 105,000 kilometers long across the Central and Eastern Europe, making them the second longest range in Europe. The Carpathians consist of a chain of mountain ranges that stretch in an arc from the Czech Republic.
Poland is surrounded by other countries, which leads to an easier way to trade goods and services that make the economic activity easier. Poland formed together with its neighbor countries a free trade area and became a member of the European Free Trade Association. Some of the main types of goods imported are machinery, electronics, cars and car parts, construction materials. Oil is imported from Russia and Middle Eastern countries, while gas is imported from Russia.
Poland's top companies by revenue, according to Forbes, are PKO Bank Polski with a market value of 13.8 billion. Also, PKN Orient with a market value of 7.4 billion. PGE with a 10.5 market value, and Grupa PZU with a market value of 11.3 billion.
There is only one tectonic plate underlying the country, and it's the Eurasian plate.
Floods are the main natural disasters that have shown downsizing in the economy. Due to the floods, buildings and coal mining areas have been damaged, causing the loss of jobs and slowing down the economic growth.
Most of the natural disasters that happened in Poland were due to the intensive rain. The systems are not able to deal so much water. In all areas, the river starts to flood their surrounding land and creates landslides in the mountains. Many people lose their houses, farmers lose their animals and crops, and some can lose their lives. In 2010, there was a massive flood in Warsaw that submerged the crops that produces 35% of Poland's GDP, creating a gap in the economy. But the most memorable flood was in 1997 that changed the socio-economic system due to material losses. The rain lasted 6 days, then it stopped for 4 days and started again for a week.
Currently, given the actual technological potential that can be used in economic terms, Poland's renewable energy resources sufficient to meet almost half of the demands for final energy. This potential will be growing as RES applications technologies keep evolving proportionally to the development of RES technologies. If released, Poland's potential will allow to meet 48% of the demand for renewable energies by 2050.
Other indexes are CPI with minus 0.9%. Its legitimate index is ranked in 32nd place of 149. Its HDI index is ranked at number 36. HD value 0.855. IHDI value 0.137. GDI value 1.006. And its Gini index 32.1.
Poland has substantially larger reserves of hard coal and lignite and makes good use of these energy resources for electricity production. Hard coal reserves a total of 21.1 billion tons located mostly in the Upper Silesian and Loveling coal basins, while lignite reserves an amount of 1.4 billion tons with further 22.1 billion tons of economic resources.
Poland has a mixed economic system, which includes a variety of private freedom combined with centralized economic planning and governing regulation. At this moment, Poland is not using a lot of sustainable energy resources, but they are getting to their goal. The Renewable Energy Directive of the European Union stipulates that 15% of the energy that Poland will use in 2020 will from sustainable sources. They are now using solar power, hydroelectric power, and wind power.
The topology of Poland is mostly consisting of a northern plain and mountains to the south. The northernmost region is largely composed of sedimentary rocks, while the south is granite and other igneous formations. Before World War II, Poland had a free market economy based on agriculture, mining, and manufacturing. In the 1940s, it was taken over by a communist regime. In the 70s, the economy struggled with limited growth, and in the 80s, deficit and hyperinflation brought about crisis. However, by the early 2000s, GDP has been increasing, a middle class is formed, and Poland is one of the strongest economies in Eastern Europe.